Start.
How is the conference doing? Oh,
2 o'clock. So welcome to the special meeting in the Lordsburg Municipal School Boards, June 2nd, 2023. Is there a motion to approve the agenda, which is the only reason we're here is for the budget? Is there a motion?
This is Susie. I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as written.
Thank you, Ms. Cole. Is there
I'll
a
second the motion.
Second by Ms. Esquivel. Roll call, please. Ms. Samuels?
Here. Or I. Sorry, guys.
Did you say aye, Alyssa?
I don't know if you guys could hear me or not. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, now,
Now
when you were speaking, we could.
Okay.
Ms. Cole?
Aye.
Myself, aye. Motion carries. For the record, Dr. Lucas is here. Eric is on line. Barbara Gonzalez is online. Ryan Shane is online. And all the 4 school board members. So go ahead, Eric.
okay. All righty. Well, thank you everyone for taking your time out of your day on your Friday to meet online to go over the budget. I won't take too much of your time, but let me go ahead and share my screen if my screen allows me to share. Hold on. Having technical issues. All right, 1 second. Let me just. Everything just froze on me. Sorry, I'm unable to. There we go. That's gonna have to work. And screen. Okay, are you all able to see?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So thank you again for coming together for me to present the budget. We'll go over the first slide. So here's the agenda. We're going to go over some budget highlights of the budget summary, then the revenue analysis, followed by the expenditure analysis. For those of you who were at the budget committee meeting, half of these slides will look familiar to you. We're going to go over some of the budget highlights. These are state mandated changes and school specific changes. So a couple of the other budget highlights, we have a 6% increase in salaries. That's a 1% cost of living, plus another 5% for all staff. On top of this, we're going to be doing a 1% increase in ERB for the employer side. That's an increase from 17.15% to 18.15%. Then insurance, it also is going to be increasing. Medical for the high insurance is going to increase by 7.24%, and medical for the low is going to increase by 1.82%. And then, we also have risk premiums increasing by a total of 7.73%. The more highlights, this is a multiplier days over a 0.01, so 0.012 multiplier. This is supposed to be 155, and the multiplier for 0.0616 is going to be 165 for the district, since we are a 4-day school. They are also eliminating the extended learning time program, but for those who weren't included in, who didn't have funding for ELTP or didn't participate, they're getting revenue, straight revenue on top of that for any days over the 155 or over the 165. School specific, we do have an increase in our overall SEG towards the TCI, which is teacher cost index, for about 263% increase. That's going to cost, we'll see later on, that's about an increase of around like $200,000 plus. The overall unit value did increase by 13.02%. That's a pretty significant increase. And in a later slide, you'll see how that increased exactly. We also have an increase in the at-risk index. Principal minimums. Okay, so there's a minimums for principals. The elementary assistant minimum is now 80.5 thousand. Middle school assistant minimum is 84,000. The elementary principal is 87.5. Middle school principal minimum is 101.5. While high school assistant minimum is 91 and high school principal minimum is 115.5. These are the state minimums, but for our principals, they were at a point where it was still 6% higher than where they're at before. It's still higher than this amount, so we do pass all the state minimums. Instructional assistant minimum is now 25,000. This did take us about 21% average on just the EA levels. There was about an increase of about 21% in pay for all of our instructional assistants to reach that 25,000 minimum. School benefit coverage increase. Okay, so the school will cover 60% of the premium if an employee makes over 60,000. So that's the same for those employees. If you make between 50,000 and 60,000, it's going to be around 75% that the school will cover. And if you make less than 50,000, you'll be covered by 80% by the school, which is pretty significant. So a lot of our increases are definitely due to for our budget, overall budget is salaries and benefits. We did raise the level 1, 2, and 3 teacher minimum by to 52, 62, and 72,000, and gave all teachers an average of or everyone on the salary schedule an average of 6% increase to meet the requirements of the state. Okay, budget summary. Okay, this is our total initial budget. Totals around $16,164,309. Pretty significant increase from last year. I believe it was around 13 million was our budget last year. General fund total, it's going to come up to around 9.1 million. This includes 8 million in operational and local. Transportation 367,000, food service 502,000, athletics 31,000. Oh, special revenue. Federal flow through, we're receiving around 1.6 million in federal flow through and 892,000 in state and local flow through. And that includes like includes ESSER funds for the IDEA B, Title I, Title II, different funds like that. Then capital, our bond building, our estimated bond building. Since we don't have the statements, it's hard to tell where we're going to be at the end of June. But I'm estimating we're going to be around like 1.1 million in our bond building account, and then SB9 local around $854,496. And our debt service going to have around 2.3 million, and our student activity is going to have around 200,000. And that's what comes up to our budget summary. Revenue. Funding sources, projected revenue. This does not include any cash carryover. This is just the solely projected revenue for FY24. 68% is coming from the general funding. Federal flow through is 14%, 4% for local and state, 2% for capital, 8% is debt, and other is 4%. Other is we have transportation and this is going to be for transportation and for food services. So there's a breakdown of the revenue. These are just the general funds and how it breaks down. Our SEG, you can see here, if I can move my mouse. Last year, we were awarded $6,106,000, while this year, we're getting a total of $7,258,000. So that's a pretty significant increase in SEG and operational spending. It's a little bit harder to see this one, but if you look really close, you can see all the federal flow-throughs and what they include. There's gonna be funds like Title I, Title II, Title IV, and the list goes on, as you can see here. I could send this presentation out to all of you after the presentation as well. And this just goes down the breakdowns of our revenue. And then we have our other funds like library go bond or bond building. Just because it's zero doesn't mean we're not receiving any, it just means we're not receiving new revenue. We are getting the revenue from cash carryover, so it's going to be coming from the year before into this year. And then if we get any more revenue in those funds, we'll do a bar. And if it's not expected 100%, I didn't budget for it. Okay, the big one. This is our operational breakdown. This is the program cost review. This is the one that shows like our main operational funding, right? So we did have a couple of increases in special membership with the kindergarten classes, Class C, Class D, which gave us a total of around, it looks like 150,000 almost, which is great. Even with our decrease in student membership from grades 1 through 12, because of that increase in the unit value from $5,522.50 to $6,241.67, we aren't going in the negative in any of these funds here, in any of these lines. So we only got more money. TCI, Teacher Cost Index, this is the one I was working on last year that I was really making a point to increase to put more of our operational funds towards our high level 3 and level 2 teachers while using ESSER funds to cover for our lower level teachers. And by doing this, we will rise up our operational funding, and it's it will show, and I do believe we can do better next year. We had an increase of 0.073 on our multiplier, and that alone was an increase of $233,000. And then we have the school size adjustment here, increase of $278,214. Then we have our extended learning. We did go over the 155 days on our calendar a little bit based on the number of hours. So that did provide funding of $40,633. And then we are working with PED to put an extra 6 days on top of that to get even more funding for the school. But we won't see that until later on next year, which we'll put a bar in for. Overall, that increase is around 18.85%. Expenditures. Okay, expenditures by function. Function is the where are we spending the money, right? Towards instruction and classroom administration, central services, building and plant and other program. Do keep in mind this circle graph is just for operational funds, and then the next graph will show for overall funds. So instruction and classroom support, we're around 51% and 13% here, so around 64% of our funding and operational is going straight to classroom support and instruction. 14% is for administration, 7% central services, 14% building and plant, and other program is going to be 1%. This 14% mainly comes from me putting our reserves into this fund right here, or into this function. So that's where we see our reserves, and that's where that's coming from. Okay, expenditures by function for all funds. So you can see here, we did have an increase, a pretty large increase in instruction, and that's mainly because of the percentages of increases in pay for IAs and for teachers, along with that benefits, with the benefits being paid more. Then we have a little bit of a decrease in support. That's mainly because we are replacing some of our positions that we have for you know, special education for lower level teachers, but we did get a new, you know, we do have items or people set up for the new social worker position, but it's just they didn't come in as high of a salary entry point as others that had left. So there was a slight decrease there. We have costs on administration, increase in central services, building and plant around stayed the same, and so did other programs and debt services. Okay, expenditures by object. Object is a what are we spending it on? So function was where, object is what, more specific, right? So we have compensation and benefits, contract services, supplies, and debt services, and miscellaneous. Keep in mind, this is again just for operational, and then the next graph will show for all funds. Compensation and benefits, about 54% of our operational budget is going into compensation and benefits, 25% going towards contract services, 15% is supplies, and 6% is debt services. Okay. Expenditures by object for all funds. You'll see there's a lot more increases in this one than the other one, right? This is due to the fact that we do have our cash carryover budgeted and our reserves budgeted into these specific lines. For example, like our construction services or our bond funds are saved here in contract services because they're under the construction line item, while supplies and another couple of our reserves are here in supplies. So these are just like I separated our reserves into multiple facets just to kind of get a nice equilibrium. And then same thing with our debt services and miscellaneous accounts. Most of this increase right here, if not all of it, is going to be from cash carryover. Okay, another small one. Hopefully you can see it. Personnel costs, salary compensation. You'll see here for positions, we have instructional. We have for our instructional, we have teachers, our IAs, and substitute line items for a total of 50.8 FTE. Salaries around 2.7 million and 1.1 million in benefits for a total cost of 3.8 million. Our student support services, which include SPED director, counselor, psychologist, library assistant, social worker, CODA, and nurses, total of 7.67 FTE, and with a total cost of 577,000. School administration, we have a total of 13 FTE. Full-time equivalency, if you weren't too sure what FTE stood for. So 13 employees are under school administration, totaling 1.1 million or 1.2 million almost. And then other, like our custodians, maintenance, cooks, and bus drivers, we do have 10.25 FTE, totaling 515,000. So overall, there's around 81.72 FTE, 4.2 million of salaries, 1.8 million of benefits, totaling 6.15 million in overall total cost for salaries. And if you notice, our SEG that we received is around 7.15 million. So we are able to cover our total costs for all of our staff just with our SEG alone if it came down to it, and still have money left over towards, well, not much money left over, but still money left over. So that means we're in good hands. Okay, additional compensation, stipends. So in total, we have around athletics, additional stipends, additional services comes out to 107,000, benefits 30,000, totaling amount of $137,837. And then as you can see here, they go a bit smaller down below. And we have them for maintenance, student activity, instructional, other, and student support. So total, we have 191,000 or 192,000 in stipend amounts, 53,000 in benefits with a total cost of 245,000. And these are just stipends alone. Okay, other expenditures. So these are non-carryover. These don't include any of the carryover from FY23 into FY24. So Just on other expenditures, we have 23% of non-personnel expenditures are budgeted in supplies. 21% of non-personnel expenditures are budgeted in building costs and PD and travel, while 16% is budgeted towards in contract services. Okay. Other expenditures, non-personnel. So library supplies, we have around 10,000 from a special library go bond funds that we have remaining in this fund. So that's going towards library supplies. Contracted services totals around $2,124,271. And then we have dues and memberships. So just remember, contract services, half of this is the bond money that we have, because the construction is still a service, therefore in this contracted service. And it's separate from this one. Dues and memberships, $24,024. Repairs and maintenance, $42,000. Utilities, around $435,000. We have our reserve line items here. I think they should be higher on here. I apologize, I must have not updated that one. SB9 on Medicaid is $266,979. Debt service is $1,385,000. Operational reserves we have set at $1,252,652. Our software and supplies is $1,075,703. Professional development $30,450. Instructional materials $152,000. Liability insurance $205,915. Construction services not bond related is $952,000, and debt cost is $945,544. And that is the end of the presentation. Actually, I do have a couple of the salary schedules I can show you guys as well. That let me see if I can get those up just so. Hope you can see that. Let me see. Let me increase that a little bit. So we have the professional salary schedule for the teachers, starting at 52, 62, and 72, and going up, and each level is 6% higher than what it was the year before. Going to 43 years of experience. We have the classified salary schedule for the instructional assistants. Starting at that 25,000 and going up. This is where we had the biggest increase. And then from there, we just kept the same increase of 5 cents, and then you could see like the increase in the number of cents over here, and then we calculated the salary cost for each line. Then we have the secretary and clerical. Same with what we did with the teacher salary schedule. We just took we increased it from by 6% from the year before and added it on here. Custodial maintenance, same deal. Then our food service. And these can all be found in your budget packet that was sent out to you, that I sent to Dr. Lucas to send out to you guys. Other than that, that's about, let's see. That's about the entire budget right there. Were there any kind of questions or anything I can help answer, or anything like that?
Any questions from the board? Comments?
I just want to say I'm really pleased that we have, the extra money without having to go into, to know that we have it there from the SEG without having to go in to get other monies from anywhere else, and that the budget's in
Yeah.
good standing right now.
Oh, yeah, me
Um,
too.
And that, we're able to cover the increases for the teachers. As always, I'll say, I wish that the state would increase our budgets as they increase salaries. Teachers are very deserving of these increases, but it would be nice if the state would help cover that cost as well. Thank you for all that you did, Eric.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure.
Anybody else? Again, thank you, Eric, for your work and your help.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure. I'm glad we could get this all ready for you guys.
Is there a motion to accept the budget as presented today by Eric?
I think there's specific language on how you'll need us approve it, or let me go ahead and see. There's specific language. Let me go ahead and share it.
I will motion to conditionally approve the budget pending final approval by the Public Education Department with possible budget changes.
The motion by Ms. Samuels, is there a second?
I'll second that motion, Mrs. Esquivel.
Thank you, Ms. Esquivel. Second by Ms. Esquivel. Vote please, Ms. Cole.
You're muted, Susie. Can you hear us, Susie?
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's right.
Vote, Ms. Cole.
Aye.
Okay, Ms. Esquivel,
Aye.
Ms. Samuels,
Aye.
myself, aye, motion carries. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much.
All business taken care of. Meeting adjourned.
I will
Thank
be
you,
sending
Eric.
you guys a report really quick. I'll be sending you guys a signing document over on your email, so just be vigilant on your emails, and I will just expect to get those signed.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Esquivel. Thank you, Ms. Cole. Ryan, everybody involved, Amy, Dr. Lucas, thank you.
Y'all have a good weekend.
You do the same.
Everyone else too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.